Shit. Oh weia. Unten am Arsch oder was? Ja. Oh shit. Na gut. Hm. Aha. Gandalf, Alter. Und Saruman hier. Schön. So, was gibt's denn noch für Musik? Nope. 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 Alter. Schnauze. Okay. Oh no, this music kind of sucks. I need to listen to something else. Hands are going to be really tricky. Okay. 8 hands. Hello to everyone who has joined this stream. As you can see, I'm working on some fan art for Harry Potter, which I just recently watched, and yeah, kind of wanted to give my homage to this series. What else? I need good music. Gustav Holst. Whoa, 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 whoa. Chill out. Okay. I want to give him a cool, dynamic hand pose, how he strokes his beard, but I might fuck it up because hands are always tricky, especially if you don't have any reference material at hand. Haha. Such a bad joke. Hope the music isn't too loud, because on my headphones it's friggin' loud. you have any questions, comments, or if you want to know something in particular about painting technique, whatever, feel free to interact with me. And I hope my chat monitoring program is working, because I'm not following the chat on Twitch, but I'm using a different application. Alter, Gandalf. Du hast vielleicht scheiß Haare, ey. Oh yeah. It looks better from the light, because I always find it a little bit hard to make a clear separation between hair value and skin value. And what I try to do here is have one distinct light source, which is something coming from the right, and the hair casting a shadow on his face so that it is better readable. And it's going into the right direction, I would say. Maybe over-exaggerate this shadow here so it's, yeah, clearly more clearly visible what I'm aiming at, and maybe also overexpose the hairs somewhere here so that it's like a light ray going through his hairline and his beard. I think this will look interesting if I can pull it off correctly. But in order to do so, I have to tone down the rest of his hair. Actually make it everything darker step by step. And what also will help me is a more differentiation between his garment pieces, especially the ones who are close to his hair line. Because if I make this darker, it will pop out more and be better readable. Something like this. Goes in the right direction, but the edge looks crappy. I also want to get rid of the noise which I have made with the brush, because it doesn't really look like hair, it just looks like sand or something. So I don't buy it. Goes into the right direction, but it's too dark on top, I think. Is it? No, this is fucked. Hi. Thanks for your follow, by the way, and thanks for your follow on Instagram as well. Thank you very much. And likewise. Okay, now I'm unsure. He has a light reflex on his forehead, which suggests that there is more light falling on his face, but it kind of collides with the head, and it's not a lighting situation that I like. I would like to make the head darker so it pops more. Yeah. But still maintain some kind of highlights, like a rim light on the side, so it's better readable against the background. Something like this. Yep, better. It's funny, I actually didn't have to add too many strokes. It's just values to make it read properly. Maybe some light from the other side. In a situation like this, or in any picture I paint, I try to have at least two light sources, like one main light source and one reflecting. And in this case we have kind of, 2 to 3. So we have a major light source coming from the right, we have the reflections from the wall in the background, and we have a light source from the left. I assume there's something reflecting the sunlight. And I prefer to have it that way so the values don't disappear into complete darkness, and we can play with subsurface scattering and many, basically play with the light, have more options available to accentuate certain things, and have more kind of gradients going on in the shadows, which make an image way more interesting, in my opinion. You can easily distinguish an amateur from a professional if you see how they treat shadows, or the value progression inside a shadow, in my observation at least. So, for instance, I have this area here, which is homogeneous in value. There's not a lot going on, which I don't like, and it doesn't, doesn't look interesting. It just blends into everything else. So what we could try is go ahead, take this, mask it, and say, okay, we have some light coming from the left, and we create a slight gradient, something like this. And if we go back, it suddenly becomes readable and gets a shape. And that's fine. Might be too strong, I don't know, but it's better in any case. Okay. Ah, I forgot something. He has white eyebrows. Whoops, it was too big of a brush. Yes. There we go. You shall not pass. Harry Frodo. Yeah, this gives him way more character. Oh yeah. I mean, it's... The degree of detail might be slightly over the top, but it's the face, and the eye will be attracted to the face in the whole composition. So, yeah, why not spend the time on the facial features and have some fun with it. We also get the ability or the chance to indicate more light in the eyebrows this way, where the reflection is coming from and where the hair disappears into the shadow, so to speak. Also on the left side, from our perspective, we have this nice area with a dark value, and we can contrast it with his white eyebrow hair. And if we zoom out, yeah, I mean, at some stage the details will disappear, but if you print it in the adequate resolution, it will be worth it. I think very small brush strokes and deliberate brush strokes on the right areas indicate a lot of detail. And this makes an image also look very sharp and finished, in my opinion, or my observation. Though I have to say Photoshop sometimes, when I zoom out, at least in my version, has the tendency to compress the details to some kind of grain. So this is something you'd have to take into account if you work with extremely high resolutions. Hallo Aschenebel. Oder soll ich Nachtwisch-Elfe sagen? Nachtwisch. Nachtwisch. Nachttisch-Elfe, ja. No, this is too much. It's always a balance. Sometimes you can just let details disappear in the shadow, and sometimes it's good to put highlights on certain edges. But here, in terms of the nostrils, I just take care of the one who is on the side to the main light source, because everything else doesn't work. Distracts the eye. All right. So yeah, I want some kind of light going through his beard and his hair and totally overexpose it. Like this. Yes. I mean, this is also something you can play around with. Complete over exposition. Is this even right? You know what I mean. Super bright things and details disappearing into an overlit, very bright area. Because this is believable, you know, for the eye. Usually our eye is high dynamic range, as it is capable of perceiving a very broad spectrum of brightness and darkness. And photographies or photo cameras are very limited in this way, except for high dynamic range photography. But I really like to imitate this photographic look and having things overexposed and underexposed. But this is a personal preference. In my opinion, it just shows that you have control over the image and you know what you're doing, or you have a vision what you want to achieve, and it shows in the final product. At least this is my opinion, my taste. Alright. Gandalf and Saruman. Before Gandalf became homeless and Saruman became old and grey. And then they sent Harry Potter to destroy the ring. Okay, I'm just disappearing into details. I want to take care of his hand, actually, which I have been neglecting. But first I need a short break, because I've been looking too long at this picture. Just a minute or so. Alright. I've been thinking of adding color to this picture, but I'm not sure how to approach it, because I personally dislike it to go from black and white to color in Photoshop, because it gives weird kind of results, in my opinion. and I thought of something graphical. I don't know, like maybe it's too distracting. I don't know, like some kind of stripe going straight through the image, because it's, you know, the half-blood prints. Maybe, you know, red for blood. I don't know, something like this. Because for some reason it has something interesting going on, in my opinion. But maybe it's too graphical. I don't know. I have the suspicion people won't like it. Whoops. I should stop painting hairs. Okay. Continuing the hand. Ja, Farbe, aber es ist irgendwie zu riskant. Es ist, ich mag halt dieses Grafische, aber ich fürchte, damit bin ich halt alleine, ne? Ja, hast du das gerade gesehen, was ich hier vorhatte? Ups. I think Dumbledore has the most amazing hands. Like very feminine in the series. Really like it. Ja, warte mal, gleich zeige ich gleich, was ich meine. Ich hatte hier an sowas gedacht. Halt irgendwie so ein, keine Ahnung, so ein grafischer Streifen. Das bietet sich halt an, weil es so die Symmetrieachse ist, ne? Aber keine Ahnung, es ist halt einfach nur so schnell mal dahin gerotzt. Ah, okay. Alright. Come on. Ja, irgendwie ausbaufähig, aber ich bin... Ach, sorry. Yeah, but I'm not like super great in this kind of graphical region. Yeah. I mean, the fingers look alright, but somehow it... maybe... Need another layer. With some hair behind the hand, so it's a better flow in terms of composition. You know, I would love to add some of his clothing stuff behind the hand, but it doesn't make sense from the angle, you know, because you wouldn't stroke your beard in a way where you could see tons of stuff of your, I don't know how it's called, yeah, your shirt or whatever he is wearing. Man, my vocabulary sucks. Rope. No, is it rope? I don't know. Never mind. I just add some hair behind the hand so it doesn't cut off so abruptly. Because then we also have some opportunity to also contrast the silhouette of his knuckles. It gives us a better indication. Fuck. I don't know. Does it work? Does it even make sense? Hands are difficult. I find them more difficult to paint than the actual face, to be honest. Yeah, it's a little bit better. Maybe I can exaggerate it even more. Let's see. Yeah, Doesn't look as stiff. I don't know. I'm not sure if I like it or not. I mean, it fits into the vision which I have set, that he, you know, plays with his beard. It's convincing, but it's not overwhelming for me. Well, let's put some rings on it, on the fingers. Not bad. It's getting better. I wonder if I'll get a copyright strike from YouTube for the music that I'm listening to, because it's very old. And the author has died for, you know, I don't know, for a long time. Probably the copyright is not valid anymore. I don't know. I will see. Okay, it's getting somewhere. No, what's... yeah, I see the problem. Oops. Yep. It's getting better. I mean, it's very noisy, but it's also something that I really like. Have areas where stuff just smudges into each other and, you know, it's just kind of disappearing details into the highlights or into the shadows, and, you know, your brain is actually forced to figure out what's going on, because I don't know, it's just a style that I really like. You can also paint super readable images on the other hand, which is also cool. It's just, you know, personal preference, I guess. But for some reason I just love smudginess, you know, stuff that, like, in the bottom where you actually see abstract brush strokes and nothing else. It's my, yeah. It's an interesting visual style. Right. By Merlin's beard. For instance, I'm not even sure if I will continue his other arm, because it will disappear into the smudginess. But maybe give it a little bit more detail here and there, at least in the drapery. I don't know what it's called. Just for the, how it's called, for the exercise sake. You know, there are a couple of things that can help you make an image look sharp and finished very quickly, and these are clear, good silhouettes and, you know, block outs, borders, they will make an image appear very, yeah, finished and very well readable. This is something I'm usually bad at. I don't, not bad, but sometimes I avoid it because once again, I like this smudgy look. But in certain areas where I want to have very, very well defined edges, I take the time. Yeah. And proper values. These are like the two most important things. Everything else, textures, is not as important. Oh, we need new music. Ah, Tchaikovsky, Rachmaninov. Let's go for Rachmaninov. Yeah, values, clear separation of values, and the silhouettes or the borders between values. I personally, whenever something is wrong, it's usually one of those things, one of those basic things. And yeah, drapery is a very, very good exercise in understanding geometry and very minute changes in value, because they indicate geometry basically. We don't read the materials in terms of line art, but we read them as contrast. It's always an indication of light. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. Also, an interesting thing that I've discovered for me is when I stretch out the process of painting a picture over several days, I have more time to think about many things concerning the image and also the light situation. This is actually something that should be determined as quickly as possible, or as quickly as it is reasonable, where the light is coming from. Sometimes this emerges out of the process, but once you get a grasp on it, you can control the scenery way better. This is usually the point where it starts to click, where like, oh, okay, I know what I'm going for, what I'm doing. And before that, it's usually just fishing around for some happy accident to happen, and then hope that you have a heuristic moment. Okay. Okay, now I'm thinking I want to give him a little bit of texture. Because, you know, for instance, this piece of cloth here, it looks fine from the value, but it still lacks something that catches the eye. And usually this is a point where I either go ahead and make very sharp design elements or some kind of texture that indicates the direction of the geometry. So in this case, I want to try to give the cloth some kind of weaving direction. I don't know. Man, I don't know how to explain it in English. But basically, yeah, texturizing it and indicating more geometry with brush strokes. Keep it on a separate layer. Oh, yeah. Keep it on a separate layer. Exactly. Okay, I fucked that one up. No, it doesn't matter. It's good enough for me. It just gives it some noise back, you know, something to your eyes to get a grip on. Okay, that's that. What else? I mean, at this point, I would say it's, as a black and white version, it's done. I mean, the rest is details, 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 fixing stuff, you know, but the concept stands. It's just a fan art. I wouldn't necessarily invest more time in it because, you know, there's no point. Music is Rachmaninoff. Do you like it, or do you think it sucks? I mean, the music. One other thing, most of you probably don't have necessarily trouble with it, but I'm painting on a very good monitor that can display a lot of values. And I've realized that what happens is when I paint very dark. And when I post it on social media and look at it from my cell phone or any other monitor, it's too dark because they are usually cheaper and can't display all the nuances. So in case you're working on a very good screen, make sure that you have a reference screen or test your images on other screens. So yeah, you don't run into this problem that they might display it improperly or something like this. So yeah, I have to, in the end, I have to add some kind of mastering process to it. Basically push the values procedurally. What the fuck? No, this is not from the Harry Potter soundtrack. It's like 100 years older than Harry Potter. At this point, I'm just pumping strokes into Gandalf's face because for some reason manual strokes make it even more sharper but also maintain this artistic look. Because if you go ahead and take a texture brush, it's nice for a very efficient way of creating details and noise. But for my taste, just having some kind of strokes, they make it look more artistic. I don't know. It's a step I wouldn't try to skip when I paint stuff for myself. But these are literally final touches. Just to break up some of the texture brushes, you know, uninteresting spots. Well, I think that's it. No, it doesn't make sense. Okay. I think this place is fine. Alright, thanks for watching, everybody. Hope to see you another time. I don't know, I don't have a schedule, to be honest. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you took something with it, and see you around. Bye.